Okay, thank you and welcome and good morning. Just while everybody's joining us, we're still missing a few people. Let's just say hello. You guys got the gist. Thanks, Daniel, and thanks, Mark. Tell us where you're from, where you are right now, and yeah, we'll get started in a moment. I'm just going to get the slide presentation up and running. Okie doke. Here we go. All right, so let's make sure we're sharing that. Okay, wonderful. Right, so North Carolina, New York, Texas. Fred, my assistant, is here. He's here in Newcastle, Nashville, New York, Arizona. Oh, actually, AR. Christy, where's AR? I don't know AR. I know AZ's Arizona. California, Florida, Cody, Wyoming. Okay. UT. I'm assuming that's Utah. Okay, Maine, California, New Jersey, fantastic. We're coast to coast right now. Okay, AR, Arkansas. Thanks, Christy. Carol in Texas, Utah. Awesome, wonderful. Well, thank you everybody for joining me today. I really appreciate it. And I know some of you may have seen this presentation in the past, but I think it's an important presentation to repeat. So I'm jumping in and going back to this because I think it's a really important topic, and I think it's something that sometimes we get so distracted by what's going on, all the new things, all the exciting things, that we forget to focus on some of the really simple things that do make a huge difference in your art business. And I just wanted to walk through why they're important and how I tackle them. You know, everybody's different, of course, but there are some things that are really similar themes that we can all use to make things work and to make things work really, really well for you and your business. So let's just jump right in and let's make sure we're on the right slide. Okay, so here we go. So today we're going to talk about, you know, the website. Now, the website is absolutely important. But I think that what a lot of the time happens is we're so focused on having a website. We spend a lot of time getting it up and getting it looking amazing and all of this. And then we expect people to come and join us and start buying straight away. And that's just not how it works. So first thing you need to do is get traffic. Then you need to build a relationship with that traffic so they start signing up for your email list. And then once they're on the email list, it's not the last step, it's the first step as far as I'm concerned in growing that relationship. We're going to talk about relationships a million times today. Anybody who's playing along with the drinking game at home, if you've got a glass, and make sure it's full, because it's going to be a lot of times I will say the word relationship because I think it's really, really important. Okay, we're going to talk about social media and why it's important, and often it's not for the reason that you think. Okay, why your audience needs to fall in love with both you and your art. And I think that this is a really critical factor that really affects artists in particular. And we're going to talk about that too. And how do you give yourself enough time to do the things that really matter? Because again, I have conversations every single week with people, and the challenge that people find every single time is, I don't have enough time. And what they say is that they're spending so much time marketing that they no longer have any time to create. And I think that that is it's a trap that we often fall into, and there are ways to avoid that trap. And I really want to walk through the things that I think are really important and the things that you need to do. And then everything else is an optional extra. And I think that that's the thing that we need to remember. You don't have to do everything. And I think a lot of us really fall into the trap of believing that we have to do absolutely everything. So we literally spend 8-9 hours a day doing marketing, and we don't do any creating, and we're not doing anything else. And we don't need to do that. I personally believe you can do the marketing that you need to do for your art business in 2 to 3 hours a week. I'm going to show you how, so we're going to talk through that as well. Okay, so let's jump into the website thing, right? Now, remember, the website is just a tool. The website makes it easier for people to buy from you, but they need to still find you, and that's really important. Okay, the website needs to be really easy to use. And I know many of the people here are on art storefronts. I myself run 2 businesses on art storefronts. I love the product. I think it's really cool. But you can get yourself into a really deep hole by making it more complicated than it needs to be, getting worried about things that may not necessarily make any difference in the long term, and little things too. So for instance, those of you that use the fulfillment options on art storefronts, I think right now there's probably 30 or 40 different mediums that you could have, including the merchandise items, right? Now I can tell you straight up, I offer 4 mediums at the most, right? And I don't sell merchandise in the way that they offer it. So I offer 1 paper, right? And I think this is really important. 1 paper. Now you can choose to do a cheap paper if you like, but I don't. I only offer my work on a high-end, beautiful, fine art paper and nothing else. If you want to buy my work, then you have to buy it the way I want to sell it. And I think that's an important distinction that you as an artist need to make. Don't do things just because you think someone might like it. Do the thing that you know works best for your art and focus on that. Okay, so if your art looks best on a metallic paper, then use the metallic paper and don't offer anything else. Don't get stuck into having a million different papers. Okay, 1 paper, 1 canvas, 1 type of metal, and if you're going to offer it, acrylic. Now I don't do acrylic because we don't have that option here in Australia, but we have something better, which is glass. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. 4 options and that's it. Okay, and in fact, for one website, Natalie's website, we only offer the 3 because we don't offer the metal. I'm not happy with the colors on the metal here because we only have dye sub options with metal prints. We don't have an 11 color option like you do in the States for printing metal prints. So I just don't offer them. The thing is, that's one of those things. You go, okay, I'm going to offer 10 papers, and what 10 papers means is you're just confusing people, right? If you can't make the decision on which paper to choose, and you know your art better than anybody else, then how is someone who's a newbie, just found you, who likes a picture but doesn't know what paper to use, how are they going to take action? They're not. They're going to get to that point and they're going to go, I don't know which paper to choose, and they're just not going to do anything, right? So instead, offer 1 paper. Offer 1 canvas, offer 1 acrylic, 1 metal. Now, if you get someone who comes to you and says, John, I want this particular artwork on this particular medium, and it's not something that you sell on your website, that's easy, right? All you have to do is put a special order in the back end of your website for them and service them in that way. But 99% of the people that come to you as potential customers don't know enough about paper to make that decision. So you have to make that decision for them, okay? And that's one of the potential black holes that you can get into. You can get in the same issue with framing, you can get in the same issue with remounts, all of that. My suggestion is refine it down to 3 or 4 mediums, have 1 or 2 choices for each medium on how they can have it finished, right? And make the options as many as possible ready to hang. Okay, so if you're offering canvases, make it a ready to hang option. Okay, same with your acrylics, 1 ready to hang option. Metals, 1 ready to hang option. You make it really simple for people to buy. People are going to buy more. Okay, the more decision you're making, you put into the process, the more problems you have. And same with sizes, right? Don't have 50 sizes available, have 6 or 7. Okay, again, if someone really likes a work of yours, and let's just say they love it, but they want to do it in a 3 meter or 10 feet, in a 10-foot triptych, and you don't offer the 10-foot triptych on the website, honestly, those people that know that that's what they want, they'll send you a message and say, hey, I love this picture. Can we do it this way? Right. And I'm sure many of you heard me talk about this before, and I think it's a really good example. I had a client who his first contact with me was, he said, listen, John, I've got this, I love this picture. I've got this really big wall. I'd like to put it on this really big wall. And, you know, we ended up doing a 12-foot by 4-foot glass triptych on his wall, right? 12-foot by 4-foot. Okay, there's no way I'd offer that on my website as a normal option. But he came to me and said, this is what we want to do. We mocked it up and we made it happen. So, you know, you're not missing out on opportunities by offering limited choices. What you're doing is making it easier for those people who really don't know. And that's important. And I think that's one of those things where you can get into a black hole. We get so focused on trying to make those decisions. Just make the decision and move on, right? Don't get stuck on those things, because the website is just a tool, right? If you're not on Art Storefronts, it doesn't matter what your platform is. The key to your platform that you use for your website is to make it as easy as possible for someone to buy directly without you having to interact. So they can choose a size, they can choose a print, they can choose a medium, they can pay for it instantly. Right? No interaction from you, because the more interaction required from you, the more chances you have of missing sales. Okay. So it has to have e-commerce functionality, payment by credit card, payment by PayPal, whatever those things are. The more you do that, the more you're making your life easier. Okay. And the other thing, which is an essential part of any good website, is being able to capture people's email address. Right. And, you know, those of you that know me, you know that it's an important part of my business now. But at the end of the day, the email address is an asset that you're going to use to grow your business. And if you don't have a way to easily capture people's email addresses built into your website, then you're going to struggle to grow your business. It's just that simple. Okay. So find a platform that allows you to easily capture email addresses to grow your business. Okay. And the other thing is, ease of use is really, really important. So if you know that your website may be a little bit dodgy, go and ask a friend who's not tech savvy to have a look at the website and see if they can order a print. Right? They don't have to pay for the print. They can take it right to the checkout, do all the pieces, right, and check. You know, there's a really interesting one that pops up occasionally. We see it when we're working with a new client. People like to use the black backgrounds or the dark backgrounds in the website, and that works good sometimes for displaying art, but it actually doesn't work really well in the checkout. So, you know, having a look at your website, trying to check out something yourself and see if it's easy to follow. That process is really, really important, because at the end of the day, simplicity is the key. Making it as easy as possible for someone to buy your art is going to make your life much easier. But going back to that original point, the website is just a tool. Okay, it's not the be all, it's not the end all, it's part of your business tools that you have available to you. Okay, so don't get stuck on spending a million years trying to get your website perfect. And that's the other point. Your website will never be perfect, right? My opinion is get it to 80% and start working, because you will never get it to 100%. I honestly believe that any website that's up and running today will never get higher than 80 to 90% being done, right? Because there's always things to be done. So don't aim for perfection, aim for functionality and move on. Okay, you can always come back and fix things a little bit at a time over a period of time, but don't use the website not being finished as an excuse to not start growing your business. Okay, so social media. Now, social media is really, really, really important to anybody who's selling today online. Okay, there's no getting around that. Right now, there are 100 platforms that you could be using. Right now, and you know, it hasn't changed much in the last 2 years. I still believe Facebook is the best place for you to focus your energy on social media for the market right now. Okay, that might change. But right now, I believe that Facebook is the place to focus. And I mean Facebook, not Instagram. I honestly believe that for most people who are operating on Instagram, a lot of the people that are following you and a lot of the people that may even be engaging with you are either fellow artists or people that are servicing artists, right? And then there's a lot of scammers. You see a lot more scams happening on Instagram than I do on Facebook when it comes to trying to get exposure, things like that. But at the end of the day, what I'm interested in is growing an art business. And growing an art business to me means several things. One, growing my email list. Two, growing my sales. And three, the thing that makes all of that happen is the relationships, okay? Now, Facebook is the easiest place to do all those three things. Now, that's going to change, there's no question, but right now it is. Now, that means I'm not saying don't do Instagram or don't do, TikTok or anything else. You can do those things. But if you have limited time, and most of the people I speak to want to spend less time marketing, not more time marketing, they want to spend more time creating than they want to spend marketing. Now, if you've got the time, that's great. Spend a bit of extra time on Instagram, spend a bit of extra time on TikTok, whatever else the platform is, Clubhouse, whatever, any other platform, that's cool. But put the focus of your effort on social media on Facebook, okay? Because it's going to help you more than the other platforms right now, okay? So the key in my mind about social media is it's a way for you to help you build relationships. Now, we all know if we're standing at a stand in an art fair, we have a chance to talk one-on-one with people who are interested in our art. People walk up, they have a look, and then they start a conversation with us. And when we're standing in front of someone, we can have a conversation. We can use facial expressions, we can use our hands, we can use our body language to communicate and to really get to know the person quickly, much quicker than you would if you were online. So social media gives us a chance to build some of those bridges that are a little bit harder than when we're face to face. Okay, so use social media as a tool to communicate with your audience and to help you build relationships with your audience. Okay, I honestly don't care that Facebook doesn't like me including links in my posts, right? That's Facebook's problem, not my problem. For me, Facebook is a tool for me to communicate with my audience. So I don't put every post with a link in it, but I put posts in regularly because I want to sell my art. I don't want Facebook controlling those sales. So I want to communicate with people and get them to my website. I want to get them off Facebook where I can, okay? But at the same time, I'm using Facebook as a means of communication and spreading the message. The other thing which Facebook is really good for, it's a great advertising platform. Right now, it's still the best advertising platform. There's no question. Now, there's certainly other places, and I'm running a test right now with Pinterest as an advertising platform. And I can tell you so far in the first 3 weeks, I am not impressed. The results I'm getting from Pinterest aren't even 10%, maybe 5% of what I'm getting from Facebook, okay? So there are other platforms. Right now, Facebook's still the place to go, okay? And social isn't about likes or follows. To me, social is about those relationships, right? It's nice to have likes, it's nice to have follows. But the thing that pays the bills in your art business is not likes and follows, but relationships that you build with your audience. It's literally that simple. The more and the higher quality relationships you have with your fans, the more you're going to sell. Okay, say that again. The more and the more high quality relationships you have with your fans, the more you are going to sell. So Facebook is a tool for you connecting with your fans, for you telling your stories, for you to show them how you're working, okay? How you grow your business, okay? Now, there's a question in here about business page, groups, all of that. So let me be specific, right? Your business page is a tool for you to grow your business. It is where you should focus your effort, not on your personal page, your business page. Now, that said, if you've got time and you want to spend time, definitely do Facebook groups, right? Most Facebook groups, however, you'll have to join as a person, not as the business page, but you can still promote your work. But every single Facebook group has different rules. So I don't go down that path. And honestly, I don't spend any time or effort in Facebook groups myself, because time is a limiting factor for me. If you've got plenty of time, then absolutely spend more time in Facebook groups, because you can grow your business in Facebook groups, there's no question. But you need to invest a lot of time in that. And that's not something that I have, so it's not something I do, okay? So, social. Now, I told you I was going to say this, and for those of you that are playing the drinking game at home, relationships is the word, okay? Relationships is the thing that sells art. Relationships is the thing that is going to help you grow your business. So Facebook is a tool for helping you build those relationships. Your email list is a tool, right? It is. The advantage of an email list is it's an asset as well, right? You own your email list, and no matter what platform you're on, no matter what email marketing system you're using, you always own that list. And if they boot you off the platform, then you take your data with you, right? The thing that you need to do with those platforms is use them to help you build relationships with your fans. It's the only thing that matters, right? The more they get to know you, the more they get to know your art, the more they're going to be buying into you and your story, and they're going to want to invest in by purchasing art, right? So it is a method, and a really important focus is to use those tools, your email list, your Facebook, your other social media, to help you build those relationships with your fans. And the relationships are the thing that matter, okay? So I've got to go back to that last sentence in the slide, because I think this is really important, and it goes on to the next slide. If they do not love the artist as well as the art, then they simply won't invest in your art, right? As artists, we're unique when we're selling something. And what I mean by that, so if I'm buying a new phone, like I might be an Apple fanboy, right? But at the end of the day, I'm not in love with Apple, right? I just need the new phone. But if I'm going to invest in art, then the art that I'm going to buy, I'm going to invest in art where I'm invested in the story, okay? Now, I might like the picture, but I also want to know a bit about the person who created the picture. And the more I know about the person, the more I'm going to invest in the person, right? So when we're telling our stories, we don't want to just tell the person about the process. We want to tell them a little bit about how we got to that process, and share with them how you do your work, right? It's a funny thing, which I honestly think it's come out of the gallery scene over, the last 50, 100 years, or even longer than that. But a lot of artists are really scared to share their process and share how they create with their audience. And I honestly think the opposite should be where you focus, right? The more you share, the more you involve people and show them how you create, the more people buy into you and your story, right? Now, I can tell you, honestly, you could give 100 people, and I've done this with photography, right? So I used to do photography tours, and I'd take away a group of 6 to 8 people away, and we'd go and shoot a sunrise or a sunset or whatever. Now, you'd have 6 or 8 people standing there side by side with a tripod, using cameras that are very similar. And I can guarantee you, even though I'm telling them all exactly what to do and how to do it, we end up with every single image being completely different. So even if you shared every single secret that you have in your arsenal of creation, no one is ever going to be able to recreate your art, right? Every single piece will be unique. So sharing your techniques and your stories is only going to help you bring people into your fold, help you to get people to understand you and your work even better. Okay, so don't be scared of that sharing. It's really, really important, and it really is powerful when it comes to connecting you closer to your fans. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to this. You know, love is important, right? Art is a luxury product, but it is a luxury product with a twist. Okay, the twist is simple. Every single piece of art that we sell includes a little bit of us. And that is really unique to us as artists, okay? So we need to make sure that we share a little bit of us every time, okay? And without the artist, the work is incomplete, all right? It's just not the same without you and the story behind it. So just try and find ways to tell your stories. You don't need to sell. You don't need to be the dodgy car salesman to sell art. What you need to be is yourself and realistic and telling the stories about you and your work, right? You don't need to be a salesperson at all, okay? And I think that's one of the things where a lot of artists do get stuck, and they think, oh, you know, I've got to be the salesperson. I've got to be out here and banging on doors and doing all these things. And sometimes banging on doors is called for. I was involved in a conversation earlier this week about selling commercially. So selling to businesses, selling to hospitals, doctors, that sort of stuff. And the best answer to that is to go and bang on doors. But when you're selling face-to-face with people, when you're selling online to people, the best thing for you to do is just tell your stories, to share your stories. And when you share your stories, you get results. When you don't share your stories, you don't get results. And, you know, the more you try and sell, and, you know, I've talked about this in the past, I learned this lesson the hard way. So I used to spend a lot of time doing fancy sales techniques, right? And I used to do all sorts of weird things in my emails. And what I was seeing was less and less people opening, less and less people buying. What I did one day, and it was a technique I was using to try and get people to open more emails. And it was a real moment for me that I've just gone, wow, this is really cool. So instead of trying to write a sales email, I sat down and I thought about one of my buyers and one of my collectors, in fact, and she owns 6 or 7 pieces of mine now. And instead of writing an email to 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 people, I just wrote this email as if I was writing to this collector of mine and telling her about this new piece. So I typed the email up, and then instead of pressing send and just sending it to her, I copied the email into MailChimp and then sent it out to my entire email list. And instead of personalizing it with her name, I personalized it with everybody else's name. The response was immediate. People want to have a genuine interaction with you. And the more open and honest and natural you are with your communication, the better the results are, okay? They need to fall in love with you. They need to fall in love with your work. And that only comes from you being open and honest and genuine, okay? So I'm just going to have a quick look at feedback and see if there's any questions that I can tack onto. Okay, so Mike's asking, he's not getting a lot of feedback on his business page. He gets a lot more on his personal page. So my suggestion for that, Mike, is instead of putting a post on your personal page, right, initially, is put it on your business page and then share it to your personal page, right? And over time, you'll see more people coming to your business page. Okay, that's a really easy technique. But the other thing is, it depends on how many people are following you on Facebook. So the basic stats are like this. So if you've got let's just say you've got 100 followers on Facebook, okay? So if you're lucky, 5 to 10% of the people who follow you will see a post. So if you've got 100 followers, that's 5 to 10 people, okay? If you're unlucky, it might be 2 or 3 people. So that's not going to help you. The other thing which really helps, and you know, this is really, really important, and I'm going to talk about the details of this in a little while, but consistency matters when it comes to social media. And what I mean by that is don't post once a week. Don't post 2 or 3 times a week. Post every single day. It makes a huge difference if you're posting every single day compared to posting once a week on how many eyeballs see a post. Okay. And even just by increasing the tempo of your posting without doing anything else, you should see more people engaging with your posts. Right. It's just that simple. So consistency really does matter. Okay. So what do we do? What do we post from them to get to know me without being too personal? Tell us, Christine. So that's a really good one. So you don't need to tell, you know, the story of your life, but what you can do is talk about the inspiration behind the work, talk about the technique behind the work, show them, as a landscape photographer, obviously I'm out and about and I'm shooting. You know, morning and evening is my favorite time of the day. So when I'm out shooting, I'll post onto Facebook and I'll post on the Facebook stories. And I literally will just step back from my camera, which is on a tripod, and take a photo of the scene that I'm shooting with my camera in the shot. Right. And I just share that. I don't even add to the a comment to it. I don't need to add a comment to it. The trick is I'm sharing the story by sharing the background information. So there's plenty of ways to do it, but the more that you share a little bit of yourself, the more you're going to get people engaging with you. Okay. Yeah, Dion, that's great. Screen capping how you're processing a work and show them what they're seeing. That's fantastic. Any way you can find to share the process of your work is going to help you. Okay. How long do you how long do you recommend an average email? Oh, that's a good question. Hans, Hans? I'm going to get that wrong. Sorry. Okay, so personally, I like 2 or 3 paragraphs and a few images. So 1 image at the top, and if I've got half a dozen images, I'll put those below. But 2 or 3 paragraphs, keep it simple, tell a simple story. Okay. If it's something that needs to be long, spread it over several emails. Okay. Don't do one big story. Spread it into 2, 3, 4 emails. Tell the story over a period of weeks. Right. That's going to get people coming back to buy into it. Right. But it also means that it's bite-sized. People can, jump into it and not get dragged down too deeply. I find that people will get distracted really easily. So if you keep it short and sweet, tell a story, then that's going to really help you. Okay. So just focus on keeping 1 story and 1 email. Okay. Let's move on from love. So, what really matters? I've said it before, I keep saying it, relationships, relationships, relationships. Okay. Any way you can find to build a connection between you, the artwork, and the potential buyer or collector is going to help you sell more work. Okay. So just find ways to build relationships and don't think about it as marketing, right? And I think that that's that mindset thing. And that's the thing that changed for me with that email. I stopped thinking about what I was doing as marketing and instead trying to get to know my fans and helping my fans get to know me. And when you do it that way, it's so much easier. Okay, you're not marketing, you're just telling stories. Telling stories makes a huge difference to your life and makes your processes so much easier because you're not having to think about, all these cool marketing techniques. The next shiny thing, all you're doing is telling people stories about you and your work. And, if you find standing in front of a camera is great, then do it. If you hate it, don't do it. All right. It's that simple. Find another way to tell your story. As a painter, you set your cell phone up on a tripod over your shoulder and have it on your filming your easel as a time lapse. a couple of stills. Take a still at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day, right? It gives you your progress. Those sorts of things make a huge difference in telling a story. It doesn't have to be a story in words. The story can be in pictures or in movies. Okay. This is something that artists are absolutely brilliant at. We overcomplicate stuff and we procrastinate forever. Now, I can tell you, I guarantee you that at least half of the people that are here today have either one of these problems right now. Okay, we overcomplicate stuff. Just do it. Find a way to make it happen and do it. If you make a mistake, that's cool. I'm sure most of you saw today, I made a mistake on my email, right? I sent the email out, the 1 hour email out 2 hours before, and I freaked out. So instead of freaking out and going, oh my God, that's the end of the world, I sat down, I wrote a quick email, which is 2 paragraphs, and said, I stuffed up. I got the wrong time. I'll be joining you in 2 hours, not 1 hour, right? That stuff makes a difference. So do that. Don't overcomplicate stuff. Okay, procrastination is the other one. And we talked about that a little bit in setting up your website. Your website will never, ever be perfect. And if it's perfect, it'll be perfect for a microsecond. So don't expect perfection. 80 to 90% is operational, that's fine. If someone else finds a problem for you, that's fantastic, fix it, move on, okay? Don't get bogged down in the details and don't get bogged down in all of the shiny new stuff because you have limited time. Focus on the things that really matter. Now, if you're trying to make a decision as to whether it really matters, this is the question you ask yourself. Is this going to help me build better or more relationships with my fans? If the answer to that question is no, then just don't do it. Okay, that's simple. That makes life really, really easy for you. You can stop procrastinating. You can stop overcomplicating. Is it going to help you grow relationships with your fans? Is it going to help you build relationships with your fans? If the answer to that question is no, don't do it. Move on. All right. And I know that sounds dismissive, but you have limited time. You need to focus on the stuff that really matters for you and your business. And the only way to do that is to give yourself the space. And if you're trying to do 100 tasks when really you need to just do 2, that's fine. What I suggest is you do those 2 that absolutely matter, and then you pick 1 more off that list of 100 tasks and try and get that done. Okay. Then the next day you do the 2 things that really matter. Then if you've got time, do 1 more extra task off that list. But prioritize. You only have limited time. And I guarantee you there's no one here that wants to spend more time marketing instead of spending either more time with their family, more time with their friends, or more time creating, right? None of us want to spend all their time marketing. It's just not good for us, right? It's not helping us if we're doing that, because when we're marketing, we're not creating or we're not having downtime, okay? So you can't do everything. Do the things that matter, okay? You know, I talked about this before. If you've got a big story to tell, break it into chunks. That could be a series of posts on Facebook for a whole week. It could be 2 or 3 or 4 emails over a period of a month. That's okay, right? Because you can always put a link in the, you know, if you're sending the post and, you know, it's the second email in a series of 4, you can put a link back to the first one. If you missed the first email, here's the link, read it first, and then check out this email, right? You can do that. That's really easy, but you don't, if you make something a big essay, people aren't going to read it, okay? Your goal is to get as many eyeballs as possible on an email and to have people engage with you, okay? So don't make it more complicated than it needs to be. Okay, let me just quickly have a quick look. Okay, how often am I sending emails? I send emails once a week, right? The only exception to that is during a busy sale, like for instance, Black Friday, I might send 2 or 3 a week. But for my 90% of the emails I spend, or even 95% of the emails, my weekly emails, which are all about telling stories. They're romance emails. They're all about telling stories. Those emails are just once a week, right? I do send a follow-up email, but that's only the people who didn't open the first one, okay? But for everybody else, there's just one email a week, okay? Hammer, okay, so telling a story over several weeks. Okay, so you commented on a photo of mine from New York today. So that photo was actually taken in 2014, which is the last time I was in New York. Now, I have a series of images from New York, and there's a story behind all of those images. So if I decided to do a retrospective on my last trip to New York, and the photography that I gathered in that. So I might tell the story over a period of weeks and include 2 or 3 images each email, right? And, you know, talk about some of the things that happened in the background and, you know, the things that were involved in that. But, you know, at the end of the day, if that doesn't work for you, then you don't have to do it. But if you've got something it's worth telling stories over a few weeks, then do it. Obviously, if you're working on an artwork that takes a month to create, then that's the content of your email for the month, right? Show the progress, talk about the story, show the research, show the things that go behind the image. And you can stretch that over a month, and people love seeing that progress, okay? How do I think of new stories every week? Sometimes they're not new stories. That's the secret, right? There's absolutely no harm in recycling a story from 3 months or 6 months ago. Remember what I said earlier, right? There's only a percentage of people that will see a Facebook post or open an email, right? So the rest of the people haven't seen the story before. It's not a problem. And those people that have seen the story before, that might trigger something in them. They go, oh, wow, yeah, I forgot about that. And that reminds me, I needed to get in touch about this. So don't think that once you've done a story once that it's burnt, okay? It's just a chance to come back to it in the future, right? Recycling is really important when it comes to social media and even storytelling, okay? Absolutely. So Christine has asked the question, do you respond to emails that people send you? Like, ask what about they are? Yeah, absolutely. So the most important thing that you can do is focus on building relationships with your fans, right? So if a fan has sent you an email, that's them reaching out to you. So you need to reach out again and say thank you and reply with a unique reply for every single person. Don't send a canned reply. This is your chance to build a relationship. So every time someone sends you an email, you need to take the time and reply with a personalized email or a personalized reply to a comment on Facebook every single time. If you don't, you're missing an opportunity to grow your business, okay? This is your opportunity to communicate with your fans. So reply to every single email. That's the most important task that you can do on a daily basis. It should only take you a few minutes because you're not going to get a million emails every day, right? But that time that you spend replying to those emails is so, so critical. And do the same with Facebook comments. Instagram comments. If someone takes the time to comment on one of your pieces, take the time to reply. It's so important. Okay, right. Right, so I'm going to keep moving. Keep it simple. Keeping it simple is just so important. When I work with people, people are dumbfounded by how simple our processes are, right? It's not because I've tried to, I've dumbed it down. It's simply, there are things that you've got to do. And if you do them well, it doesn't need to be complicated, okay? Life can be really complicated, there's no question. But what people try and do is they make things overcomplicated to scare people or to, give a barrier. The reality is The simpler you can make it, the easier you can explain things, and the simpler you can tell your stories, the better it is for everybody, okay? So don't overcomplicate things when you're telling stories, but also don't overcomplicate things when you're trying to do something, right? If there's an easy way to do something, do it, okay? It's going to make your life so much easier if that's the case. Okay, and stop procrastinating, okay? Take action. Stop saying, I'll do it when this is done, or I'll do it when this is done, or I'm going to do it after I've done this. Just do it, okay? Procrastination is really a problem for us as artists, and it's something that we should learn how to tackle and do much better when it comes to what we're doing. Okay, so I'm going to keep going. People do want to fall in love with you, all right? If they love your work, they want to get to know you. And really, you know, there's a saying in marketing, which is people will buy from you when they know, like, and trust you. Okay, know, like, and trust you. I honestly think with artists that there is another element, and that's, you know, they don't just want to like us, they don't just want to trust us, they actually want to fall in love with us and our work, right? And that's not a romantic relationship, of course, right? But, you know, if you're passionate about something, you fall in love with it, right? And you want people to be passionate about you as an artist, not just your work, because that gets people invested. That's when people spend serious dollars. When you've got buyers and even collectors who are passionate about you, you do something and they're like, oh, I want that. What have I got to do to get it, right? And that's where you want to be. And the only way you get to that point is when people fall in love with you as well as your work, okay? So, you know, this is all about that one-to-one thing, and online is hard doing one-to-one, right? And you know, when it comes to the time between someone joining your email list and someone becoming a buyer, if you're face-to-face, you can turn someone into buyer in a few minutes, right? There's no question, right? If they connect with you and your work, then they can become a buyer in, you know, seconds even. When you're online, you don't have that intimate relationship because you're not able to communicate the same way. But the advantage of being online is that you can start a conversation with 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 people at a time, right? So you have a scaling option that you just can't do when you're face-to-face. But it takes longer to build that trust. It takes longer for people to get to know you, and it takes longer for people to fall in love with you, okay? So when it comes to time, and this is the most underestimated factor in marketing, I tell everybody I work with that I can make you one guarantee. And the one guarantee sounds wrong, but it's so true. I can guarantee you that I'm not going to earn you a single cent in the next 6 months and possibly the next 12 months, because it takes that long, at least, to build a relationship with your fans, okay? To turn someone who's joined your email list today into a customer takes 6 to 12 months. Sometimes it takes 18 months, okay? So don't get phased by time. It is a factor that you just have to accept and you have to deal with, okay? If you accept that this is a long-term plan and in 3 to 5 years you're going to have a solid business, then you're going to be in a good place. If you expect tomorrow that you're going to sell $1 million worth of work on your website because you've just gone live, then you're going to be really disappointed, okay? You won't start selling quickly. It's just not how it works. And even if you do get some sales initially, you'll find most of those sales have come from people that already knew you, and you've just made it easy for them because you've built a great website, okay? So when it comes to growing, the long-term stuff is so important. Okay, right. So now we need to find the time. We need to find the time to build relationships. Okay. Now, there's some things that get stuck in that. So number one, okay, we spend so much time trying to find new things and all these shiny things going on around us that we get distracted, okay? So we need to shut those things out. Like I said before, you need to do the two things that really matter first. And then if you've got time, do the other things. So what are those two things? Number one, you have to post on Facebook every single day. I don't care if you post on TikTok, Instagram, Clubhouse, whatever else there is in social media as well, but you have to post on Facebook every single day. Number one. Number two, at least every second week, ideally every week, but there's no point doing it every week if you've only got 100 people on your email list. Once you've got 1,000 people on your email list, every week you need to send an email to those people, because those emails that you send to those people are the most important task that you do when it comes to marketing. That is the most important thing to building a relationship with your fans, is sending those emails and telling those stories. Okay, so they're the two things you have to do every week. So if you do those things first, then you might have time to do something else, something new, something shiny that's a distraction. But do those two things first. And the easiest way to do those, and I think I've got the tools here in here. No, I haven't. So if you're going to do Facebook and Instagram, that's fine, but certainly Facebook, just Google Facebook Creator Studio. Okay, and in fact, if you've never used it before, let me include the link right now because I have it somewhere here. Facebook Creator Studio is a powerful and free way to schedule posts in advance. Okay, you can schedule up to a month in advance. It costs you nothing. And yeah, same thing, Carol. Like, yes, it's Meta. That's the end of the day. Facebook Creator. It's still called Facebook Creator Studio. It's just on Meta. It doesn't matter. But Creator Studio allows you to schedule for free Facebook and Instagram up to a month in advance. Okay, so why we schedule in advance? One really good reason. Okay, we need to be consistent. We need to be posting every day. Now, if you, let's just say you set an alarm in your calendar, 9 o'clock every day, you're going to sit down and you're going to write a post. Okay, now to do that might take you 15 or 20 minutes if you're just doing one post. I find that if you're just doing one post, you've got to get in the mood for it, you've got to get ready for it, and then you've got to think about it, and you waste a lot of time. Whereas instead, what I found is the simplest way to do it is to put aside an hour or hour and a half a week to sit down and write a week's worth of posts and schedule them all out. It's so much more efficient. And you will find if you start doing that, you'll be putting a post up every 5 minutes, not every 15 or 20 minutes. So you save a lot of time just in doing that in one go. Just batch your posts in one go. Okay, so much easier. And if you want to run a theme through your posts, that's really easy then, because you're thinking about the theme as you go. As a photographer, we theme post. So we might do a series of waterfalls or a series of sunrises, a series of sunsets. It's really easy to do that way. Okay. The other thing is with your emails. Now, there seems to be, for some people, there is different functionality. Okay. So just to take this, depending on who you are and where you're at, whether you get this functionality or not. So if you're on the free MailChimp, for some people, you can't schedule an email, right? That doesn't mean you can't do it in advance. So if you can't schedule, right, and that is the case for a lot of people, what you do is you at the same time as you're sitting down to write your Facebook post of the week, you sit down and write your email for the week, right? And instead of pressing send, because you're not ready to send it, then you're going to send it on another date, another time. Once you finish doing it, save it as a draft, and then set an alarm in your phone to go off on Wednesday at 9:45 a.m. or whenever it is that you send your email out, and then just log into MailChimp and press send. Okay, that allows you to write. You could write multiple posts in advance, multiple emails in advance, right? And then just log in and press send once a week for each of those emails. So you can batch your emails as well, even if you don't have the functionality to schedule. And I know from the feedback that I've had in the past, some people are able to schedule in the free MailChimp and some people aren't. I don't know why, but that's just the case. So just accept it and move on. Don't get hung up on it. Okay. But when you're scheduling those posts, then it gives you free time to focus on the people. Okay. And the other thing that I know I struggle with, and I know that a lot of people struggle with growing their business, is finding new fans, right? This is the thing everybody struggles with, and it's where I struggled for ages, and I struggled with it for years, right? So I did fishbowl things, and they were fantastic at events, but there's only so many events you do. But what I wanted to do was find a way where I could grow my email list quietly in the background. I didn't have to invest a lot of time in growing my email list. And that's where our services come from. And that's how we help people grow their email list. And the key with this process is that it doesn't require you to invest a lot of time on a daily or a weekly basis. It happens quietly in the background. So instead of you trying to focus on finding the people, you'll focus on building relationships with those people. And that's a huge, huge difference. Right? If the finding of the people is taken off your plate, then you can focus your efforts in just building those relationships. And that makes your life so much easier. And that's how we help. Right. So we're going to keep going. Right. So focus on communicating with your audience. These are the essential tasks, right? Focus on communicating with your audience. Daily social posts, weekly or at least every 2 weeks, send an email, and then reply to every comment, reply to every email, and engage with those people who engage with you. That is the key, okay? That's how you're going to grow your art business. It's not shiny new things. It's not a cool website. A cool website's important, but it's a tool to help you grow your business. Right? The thing that really matters is relationships. Okay. I can't say this enough. Relationships, relationships, relationships. The relationships you build with your fans help you build your business. It's that simple. Okay. And reply to every single comment on social media, every single one. Okay. And if you get an idiot, if you get someone that's just being rude, delete their comment and block them. Right. And then move on. Don't take it personally. They're just an idiot. All right. Everybody gets them. So don't get stuck in it and don't get depressed by it. Just go, okay, this person's an idiot. I need to move on and keep going. Okay. Because the end of the day, that's just another distraction away from what you really care about. Okay. Right. Don't do everything. I think I've made this clear previously, but let me be specific. You don't have time to do everything. Do the things that matter. And if you've got a list of cool things that you want to try one a week. Don't try and do them all. Try one a week, right? And make the time after you've done the things you have to do. Okay. Do the essentials first. And if you run out of time, that's fine. Don't do anything else. Okay. If you want to try something new, make it an experiment. If it works, that's cool. If it doesn't work, then that's just fine. Okay, move on. I've said it. I don't think I need to put any more words to this. I've said it enough times already. Okay. Now, the only thing more important than building relationships with your fans is creating art, right? That's what you're here for. That's what you do. That's your purpose. You want to create. Absolutely. The only exception to that rule is if you've got a house or a studio with 100 or 150 artworks that you haven't sold, then right now you need to focus all of your efforts on relationships, because there's nothing more painful than having an inventory of art that you haven't sold, that you can't sell, right? So focus on the relationships. You'll find once you start focusing on the relationships, the art will start clearing itself and you'll have more time to create more, okay? Focus on the people. Focus on the people behind the numbers, not on the numbers, okay? Now, my webinar time is up, it's 59, and I like to finish on time. So I'm just going to quickly run through and see if there's any other questions that need answering. Christine, sorry. Best time of day to post on Facebook, when to send emails. As far as the emails are concerned, experiment. Facebook, if you go into your page, you can go into insights and you can actually see when more of your fans are online, and that would be the time to post more. Nancy, there is a trick with MailChimp pricing. Sometimes you need to jump up to the next level, and it's actually cheaper than jumping up 500 at a time. Okay, send me an email about that and I can show you. Right, I think that's it. Yeah, those photos, thanks Christine, these photos are my work. Yeah, the ones that are in the presentation, they're mine. Okay guys, just really quickly, I just want to do the sales pitch because this is really important. I have space this week. I have 3 appointments available for tomorrow for anybody who wants to get started right now to grow their business. Okay, we have 3 places left. So if you're interested in growing your business and you're ready to go today, you're going to save at least $100 and we're going to get started right now so that you're in a position to start growing your business next month in March straight away. So this is, I'm going to send this as a follow-up in an email, but I'll include this right now. If you're interested and you want to get started today, then drop me an email or sign up for an appointment. If you're a former client, then drop me an email. If you're someone who's never worked with us before, then sign up for an artist suitability call. We'll have a chat tomorrow. We've got some spots. Like I said, there's 3 spots tomorrow. We've got some spots. I think there were a couple left for next week and then certainly in March. But if you're ready to go today, we're ready to help you, and we have 3 spots available to get started at the beginning of March. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. I hope you have an amazing week. And also, I'm really organized. My next webinar, okay, I've got it all ready to go. We're switching to a new platform, so the sign-up process is slightly different. But if you want the link, there's the link, and you can sign up to the next webinar, which is in 2 weeks' time from now. An important subject, staying motivated even when you feel lost and overloaded. And I know a lot of you have been there or are there right now. And this is this is all about refocusing and getting yourself focused. So thanks guys, have an awesome day, and I'll speak to you again soon. Catch you later. Bye-bye.